Give you all a second to jump on here. We are going to talk about something really kind of scientific, and I am seriously freezing. So I'm doing the thing where we have gone through where the weather starts to turn into spring and then it decides not to. And then I'm like, oh, I don't really want to turn the heaters back on, but it's definitely cold outside. I have no idea how cold it is, but it's super, super cold. So my house is really cold. Hello, hello, hop on, say hello, tell me where you're from. We're doing this really cool thing that we do every Monday. It's called Monday Soul Deliciousness. And tonight we're going to be talking about body homeostasis. If you have never heard of this, then this will be a learning experience for you. Okay. Grab your favorite beverage. I started a tiny bit early, but we're going to dive right into this so that we can make sure that we get through all of this soul delicious material. So basically, what the heck is body homeostasis? So in fact, I actually have this pulled up because, you know, Google couldn't find anything. So let me just tell you, I'll just read it to you. Here's the definition. Homeostasis is the state of steady internal physical and chemical conditions maintained by living systems, right? That sounds optimal. It really is your optimal functioning. So I get on here every day in the mornings and I'm talking to you about how you want to be in this equilibrium, how you want to be in this beautiful place. Thank you for sharing, Kim. I do give away socks. Actually, I don't have them. Dave, if you happen to be watching, there are some Sally socks in the closet on the top shelf on baby sister's shelf that are what we're giving away. You could bring them into me. That would be super cool. Sometimes he's on here and watches sometimes. Okay. We do give away socks on Friday. So you share because you care. Really, you share, right? Because you want to give this good information to other people to help them. But we do give away a cute pair of socks on Fridays and then also a free session with moi to help you get into this state of homeostasis. So we're looking at the body. We're wanting to balance the mind, the physical body, and the soul. And that's where it becomes really difficult because most of us are usually focused on only one of those, depending on what we have going on. You know, if we're feeling emotional, then we focus on our mental health. If we're feeling kind of detached from God or your higher power, then you're focused on your spiritual. If you have aches and pains, then you're focused on the physical. And the problem is that you kind of need to put all those together so that you can get into the state of beautiful equilibrium. So tonight we're talking specifically about scientifically how this happens and why is the reason why we don't want to run around in this state of not being in equilibrium, because it's very damaging and this is how we get incredibly ill. So most of you have heard, probably everyone has heard of pH, because pH is in everything. pH is, you want your shampoo to be a certain pH, because if it's not, it's damaging to your hair. Different things have different pH properties. So you can think about orange juice, right? It's very acidic. It has an acidic pH. Milk is neutral. About things like, I totally forgot what I was just thinking about, but pH plays a big role. Cheese, I was thinking about cheese. When they make cheese, it's very important that they get the milk pH at a certain level so that they can have the cheese develop right. So pH plays a role in everything, really. But your body has a pH as well, and different parts of your body can have different pHs at different times. So can't just pop a pill and be like, woo, yeah, my body pH is right where it needs to be. So what happens when our body is out of balance with our pH? When your body is not in a good state of balance as far as pH goes, unfortunately, we open ourselves up to these miraculous things called microbes. I was watching or listening to a conference or something, and they were talked about the evolution of time. And the main thing here was that they were looking at it in the timeline. And relatively speaking, when we compare ourselves to microbes, yeah, we're the new kids here. We just barely came into existence compared to these microbes. They're controlling the world, really. They can enter our systems. They come in many. Dave, if you happen to be watching, will you come in here for me? They come in many. We have fungus, we have parasites, we have bacteria, viruses, prions, and then we also have this stuff called biofilm. So microbes are really smart because they've been around for so long. They can, I mean, you know, hey, we're going through or at the end, hopefully, of COVID, right? Just had a virus take over the entire world, basically, which is, you know, not the first time either. So biofilms are this really nasty, sticky substance that pathogens and microbes create because they get really smart. So let's say that, you know, I just have a wad of pathogens on my desk and I come through here with some cleaner and I spray it and I'm attempting to kill them. Well, they actually can figure out how to create a microfilm, a biofilm, which is a really gross, sticky, slimy substance that they build to protect themselves. It's basically like a little barrier. So then next time I come through with my Lysol and spray, they're like, haha, like they figure it out. They can mutate. And that's why, right, you all hear stuff like, well, we got rid of this strain, but now it's figured out how to, you know, create a new strain. And that's all it's doing. It's developing so that it can survive. But these biofilms that are over these microbes, they actually can also be toxic to us. So if I, you know, there's a biofilm on something and I touch it and I'm not really aware of it, right? And then I can contaminate by sticking it in my mouth or touching food that I'm eating. So anyway, microbes are incredibly smart and they have been around forever. Okay, so my pH is out of balance and I have the possibility for microbes to enter. How does my pH get out of balance? Well, we're going to come back to the thing that I talked about, I think last week or who knows when. I think it was last week. Cellular memory. Cellular memory contains exactly what it sounds like, memories of things. So when I go through a really dramatic event, when I'm 5 years old, my cells have the ability to contain a memory, or we call this, to make it really simplistic, cellular memories are also trapped emotions, trapped trauma, trapped physical, whatever. Some of these things are inherited because your body is trying to help offspring. So things get trapped in the DNA. It's a way of your ancestors to try to protect you from the same thing. But the problem is that actually creates lots of problems for us. So we can inherit these things. We can absorb them. How do you absorb a cellular memory or an emotion? So think about when you're in a room with someone and they're just going crazy, or if you've ever actually been at the scene of a traumatic event going on, you can feel the anxiety in the air, right? Or you say, I walked into the room and I picked up the vibe. That person has a really, you know, I call them shady, which is kind of funny because not too long ago, I had an experience at work, and someone actually asked me, they were like, so, I heard that you can read people's energy. And I'm like, yes, very much so. And they were like, so what did you read off this person that we just had this issue with? And I was like, yeah, so that's the one thing, is that when I can already pick up on somebody that I call shady, I do my very best to avoid them. And I certainly by no means do I try to connect with them whatsoever. And I actually create a barrier so that that does not affect me. But also in the line of work that I do, as really cool as it is, we have the integrity piece. Now, someone would maybe like, well, who cares if you tap into somebody, what's going to happen to you? Well, I truly believe that this ability to read people's energy, anybody can do it given the right training and if they're balanced themselves. But I truly believe that it is definitely a gift. It is definitely a gift from God. It is definitely a gift from higher source. It is definitely a gift from the universe, whatever you want to call it, whatever that is for you, the goddess, whatever. If not used appropriately, because I truly believe that this gift should only be used to help other people positively. So if I decide to use this gift to do something else that benefits me, that is hurting someone else, then I super believe that my sister karma comes into play. And, she's great and you get along really well with her until you piss her off, and then not so good. So I explained to this person like, hey, I didn't actually tap into this other person's energy to feel whatever, because, that's not some place that I want to be. Obviously, I also don't want to be attached to someone that I feel has a really negative energy, but there's a level of integrity involved there that we don't do. In fact, I actually have caught myself at times looking at someone, having an ill feeling about them and being like, whoa, because I realize the power of thoughts. And I'm like, whoa, 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 retract, bring that negative energy back in. Yes, you dislike them, but no, we don't want to wish ill will on someone because it just comes back to bite you. That's the law of energy. It's just the way it is. What you give out comes back. So you can think you're gossiping and talking poorly about other people isn't going anywhere because you're doing it inside your home, but that is an absolute incorrect. Hello. Hi, Becky. Love you. That is an absolute incorrect statement, that as long as you, if I'm talking, like if I just go out in the kitchen and Dave and I are chatting and talking negatively about someone, that it's not leaving our house. So, is not going to affect the person. It's absolutely not true, because you're giving off an energy into the we'll just say into the universe, into the air, into the whatever. You absolutely are affecting other people. Energy has no limits. There is not a spot in which I can say, well, if I sit in my house and talk about somebody, they're 15 miles away, so all is well. No, it doesn't work like that. And in fact, when I'm doing healing and doing energy work on people, I find cords all the time. And sometimes those are saboteur energies. So the word saboteur comes from, people that are stabbing you in the back. And I've actually seen times when someone's got an actual pain in their back because it is a energy example of someone literally stabbing you in the back. And it's crazy. Yes. Thank you for sharing. I'm trying to see if Dave, I'll just text Dave. Dave, hi. Dave, hi. Should we call Dave? Let's call Dave. Dave, where are you? I want Dave to bring me in the socks because I think I put them in the closet and I want to show you what socks we're giving away. I can hear his phone. If he says something inappropriate.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Would you be willing to do us a favor?
Okay.
I think that I have the socks that I'm giving away this week in the closet.
Okay.
I think they're on Kinley's shelf and they're Sally socks.
Okay.
Would you kindly get them?
I will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye. He's like, he knows I'm live, so I'm sure he's like, hello? What do you want? Okay. Focus. Dog with the shiny ball, right? That's what I feel like. Like, I'm the little puppy. Somebody threw the ball. I'm trying to pay attention. Okay, what the heck am I talking about? That's usually where I get. Okay, so talking poorly about people. So cells are affected by emotions, by stressors, by trauma, by, abuse, molestation, whatever that is, and your cells contain the memory. They're really cool. They're these beautiful mitochondria inside of them, and they have the ability to contain all this stuff. So we have a trapped emotion. I get really stressed out, like let's say I love Walmart, right? Let's say that I don't eat and then I go to Walmart and I'm so tired because my baby's been up all night. I don't have a baby, but my baby's been up all night, and I go to Walmart and I'm really tired and I'm there for formula. I need formula and diapers. And, my baby has really sensitive skin and a really sensitive tummy, and they don't have the formula or the specific diapers that I need. And I'm starting to have a mental breakdown, and then I'm really tired and my baby's home with my husband. So I'm really stressed too, because I know my baby's colicky and I need to get home because he's got, 2 other toddlers at home. And then in the next aisle, I start hearing another child crying. And let's just add to this. I'm trying to breastfeed too, and I'm not doing very well at it. So I'm supplementing because I can't. I'm stressed out of my mind. Okay. And so now, my hormones are kicking in and my milk's dropped, whatever, have you been in that spot and you're just like, I'm 2 seconds from curling up into a ball in the middle of Walmart and just having a mental breakdown and bawling and not knowing what to do with myself. I may have done something like this before, just saying. So in case you have, so it's all good. I actually was at I had a mental breakdown at the hospital when Kinley was in the hospital, and I know I was projecting a little, so it's funny to look back at now. It wasn't really funny at the time, but I remember having a super mental breakdown and I was bawling hysterically. And so I left her room and I had gone out and sat in a separate place. And of course there's people walking around, and a nurse was like, "Are you okay?" And I wanted to be like, you know what? No, I'm not okay. How in the hell am I okay? Right? My daughter's dying, and just freaking out because I really was having a complete mental breakdown. So anywho, we'll talk about how I can talk about that and not start crying, but cells are affected by all of this stuff. You are so awesome. Do you want to say hi? Some people have never met you. Just come down here. Everyone,
Hi, everyone.
This is Dave.
Woohoo!
What are you doing?
I don't know. Good luck with your socks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
He's not as excited as me. Okay, so for those of you that are sharing, yes, you do. I'm giving these super cool socks away on Friday. And why do we love Sally? We love Sally because Sally can fall out a window. Okay. Sally can fall out a window and her leg falls off or her arm falls off. And she is just miraculous at, coming back and sewing herself back together. So Sally is, in my opinion, the true queen of resistance. So we love Sally. Okay. Dave has left. He was like, yes, thank you. I'm great. Okay. So cells start having memories when our cells start to break down, right? There's always going to be a spot where there's a weak link, and that weak link breaks, and then our body pH starts to deteriorate in that specific spot. So we kind of have 2 things going on. We have the memory in our cells that are being affected, and the cells are now deteriorating, they're becoming weak, and then our body pH in that specific location starts to take a nosedive, okay? Now, our body loves to stay in this beautiful word that I talked about, homeostasis. So the body's now like, let's just say I got this issue going on. We're just going to pick right over here. So I have this issue going on over here. And actually, no, I want to change it. Let's say that I have this issue going on and it's affecting my kidney area. And now I have this trapped emotion. It's vibrating a little bit and it's right by my kidney, and my kidney's trying to do its job. And it's like, hey, yo, that's not cool. Stop freaking vibrating. And now my kidney's getting stressed because this little frequency is driving it crazy. And now my body pH is starting to change in that area because my cells are damaged. And this is how people go speeding up the road on a motorbike. And this is how we suddenly now, I'm like, oh man, my kidney, Becky, I love you. My kidney is hurting, right? I have this pain, or maybe I'm just whatever. I may not even know that it's my kidney, right? Something starts to happen. And I'm like, I have a symptom. And what am I going to do now? Well, if you're kind of like me, you're probably just going to sit around and be like, hope that goes away. Maybe if I sleep, right? Maybe it's something I ate. I don't know. And then you start kind of guessing what it is. And then 3 days later, you're like, dang, this is not going away. And at some point, if it gets to be bad enough, or, maybe you're noticing that you have a lump somewhere, whatever it happens to be, then you're going to go to the doctor, right? You're going to call. And if you don't have any insurance, I really don't know how much it costs to go to a doctor, but even myself working for a beautiful company, I know that it costs me like $200 to $500 a pop every time that I decide to show up there. So it's not my favorite place to go. And then what do I do? Like, right, okay, let me see. Let me look in your ears. I'm going to take your blood pressure. Why don't you tell me what your symptoms are? Okay, this is what I got going on. Sounds like you have some pain in your lower right side. How long has this been going on for? Right? And then they're like, I bet it could be this. So let's draw some blood and see if my thoughts align with what your body's doing. And then voila, right, my symptoms have now created a beautiful, nice diagnosis for myself. And so now what happens? Yeah, basically one of two things. I'm either going to get chopped open. Where's my 17-year-old going? I'm either going to get chopped open or I'm going to get put on a medication. And that's no bueno. Okay. So we're going to talk about that in a second. Now, really, is what's happening. Oh my gosh, I would show you guys my kid. He's got like hair down to here and it's like flowing in the wind. As he gets into his Toyota Camry, that's license plate says I Granny because it used to be my mom's car. It's rocking. Okay. Don't make fun of your own children. Clear that out. Okay. So my body, though, it wants to be in homeostasis. So it is. It's giving me symptoms because it's like, hey, stupid. It's my subconscious talking. Something's going on here. Like, hello, could you fix, you need to do something different. Unfortunately, our cognitive mind and our subconscious mind, guess what they do? They're like a really sort of like a bad marriage. They're nagging at each other. They don't really get along very well. And they're just like they're not a good match. So much stuff going on outside tonight. All right. But the body's like, I want to be in homeostasis. Everybody, can't you stop being a dysfunctional family and get along because this freaking sucks? And so it is like, okay, I just want to do what I can because you guys aren't cooperating. So I'm going to go ahead and create the polar opposite somewhere. And so when I have that issue that's by my kidney and now my pH is out of balance, let's say my pH is really alkaline in that area, my body has an actual polarity opposite where it is going to change the pH to match it. So it becomes very acidic because the acidic polar in the negative, right, equals a neutral. Sounds great. Sounds super great. Actually not. Because now I have an area by my kidney that's polarity is messed up, that I'm allowing the introduction of any types of pathogens that I may come along. So fungus, pathogens, bacteria, viruses. But now I have a second location that my body's trying to keep in homeostasis that is also got body pH out of whack. And so now I've opened myself up to 2 places in my body that now have the capability to host some beautiful microbes. You know, really, your body's like, hey, hey, it's New Year's Eve. Bring it in. Little microbes, come and hang. Hi. So the problem with this is, do I have a crow call for my text? Absolutely. The problem with this is that, how many of these do you think you have going on at one time? Well, let's start back. Let's rewind a second. So if my body pH goes out of balance due to the fact that I have a weak spot from, remember, stressors, trapped emotions, traumas, physical whatevers. You see where I'm going with this? Suddenly you're like, no wonder I'm falling apart, right? No wonder I'm falling apart. And then we just add to it because we go out to the doctor's office. We pay a bunch of money and then we start getting on medications, and, you know, it's like, okay, you know, like, hey, Amy, I'm going to give you this medication because it's going to help with the ache in your shoulder, but you need to know that potentially this causes constipation, high blood pressure, and cholesterol issues. So I don't want any of that stuff to happen to you. So I'm going to give you this one medication that's going to help with the pain in your shoulder, but I'm also going to prescribe to you another medication for constipation, another medication for your high blood pressure, and another medication for the potential cholesterol issue, because I don't want you to have all those problems. And I'm like, okay, this sounds cool. Great. And then he's like, oh, but wait, you need to know that when you take the medication for constipation, it's going to mess with your ability to absorb vitamin A. So you may start seeing some adverse effects from that. And then the high blood pressure medication, it's just kind of one of those side effects. It's going to make it so you can't sleep at night. And then the cholesterol medication, it's kind of been known to like possibly mess with your metabolism. You might gain some weight with this. And now I'm like, okay. And then it just keeps going. So we'll go ahead and give you some sleeping medication. This is like the old woman who swallowed the fly, right? And she swallows the spider to catch the fly, yada, yada, yada. And she ends up swallowing what? A dog and a cat and a cow. And by the time we're done, like, who even knows? And this is bad, right? Because now I'm on all these medications. Those are toxic to your body. When it really comes down to it, they really are. They're not really great for you. So not only am I taking these medications to chase my symptoms, guess what's not really happening here? A couple of things. I still have the trapped emotion energy. It's still hanging out there. My body pH is still out of whack. And in fact, taking all this crap is probably making it worse. None of that's gone away. So yeah, some of my symptoms might be muted because I'm affecting my chemical balance, my chemicals in my body, my nervous system, the ability to feel things, but they're all probably still there. So which is why what happens when I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to refill my medication. Then 3 days later, you're like, oh, world is coming to an end because I forgot to take my medication, and however long that takes for your medication to get out of your system, and boom, Bob chakalaka boom, right? And now it's all there still. Okay, so here's the beautiful thing, all right? So traditionally, right, we have a physical issue. We get some medication, or doctor slices us open. I was teasing my brother the other day because he just had surgery, and he's like limping around, and I'm like, should I let your sister fix you? And he's like, you couldn't have fixed, I had a ACL that was unattached. And I'm like, coulda, woulda, shoulda. I'm like, your body could have fixed itself, but it's okay. Because and you know what? I'm a 100% respectful of anyone that's like, I don't believe in any of this jazz. Super cool. I believe in free agency. So that is beautiful. You go, girl. Okay. So how do we do this? How do we balance all this out? Well, it's a little process because we actually want to get rid of it. So we don't go to therapy. Okay. What is therapy? Honestly, what is therapy? Hello, I would like to pay you to listen to me. I mean, I'm not saying you can't get good things out of therapy. Come on, you can. But hello, I've been in the therapeutic cycle. It works really well if you go once a week and they tell you what you want to hear. And yeah, there are some great things that you can do. You can figure out how to, what I call, you're trying to reframe your thinking, okay? You're trying to reframe your thinking, or you're trying to come up with a coping mechanism. But are we really getting rid of anything? I went through tons of therapy after my daughter died. Not once did I reach a point where I could talk about her death in detail without freaking the heck out. Because all I was doing was figuring out how to cope. Coping is actually just as dangerous as the actual emotion itself, because you're just shoving it down, and then you're shoving it down, and then suddenly you can have a massive blow up, right? And then, things happen and you have court costs and stuff after that. So let's not do that. Okay. Oh, all right. So we release the emotions. Then we have to fix the body polarity, and we clear out any of the pathogens. Seems pretty simple, right? It actually is. We're not going to reframe your thinking. We're not going to use medication to create a chemical shift, because those problems are still there. They're still there. We want to actually fix this. How do I know that this is really the way that it works? Well, because I have gone to school my entire life. I actually told my boss the other day, I just go to school for my entire life if I could. I would be a student. I love it. I love learning. And so I dive into everything, and I have to find the research. I'm not the type of person that's just like, oh, la, 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 this is the way that it is. And even then, you got to find research to back up your research, because some research is not as good as others. So I want to look for what we call replicated results. That's what really makes research. If you go pull out a study and you're like, well, so-and-so did this, and this is what they found, I want to know that 35 other people, that's a good statistical number, 35 other people replicated your results and didn't get a different response, because then I know that there's some validity here. If you do a study and 3,000 people try to replicate the study and only 35 people out of 3,000 got the same results as you, that is not a valid statistical data. Okay. So that's how my brain works. So yes, I read stuff. I want to know. I want to see doctors have done this. There's so many cool things. I was just reading about one actually before I went live, where they took a person and they took some of the DNA from their body. So, right, you can swab, you can get DNA, put it in a little tube, and then they had them hold their little tube. And they told them to think about negative emotions. Well, it's impossible to think about something negative without having a memory come up, because that's what our negative emotions are attached to. That's how we learn what a negative emotion is. So when they do that, they pull the test tube back from the person, and they actually can analyze the DNA. And guess what they find? The DNA, the cells are damaged just from the person holding it, right? Because I told you, energy has no boundaries. So you can actually have your DNA removed from your body. It's still going to respond the same because it's yours. Okay. So then they do the same thing. They do the DNA again. They give them back the DNA. This is the damaged DNA. They give the damaged DNA back to the person, and they tell them to think about something happy and to think about some positive. So then positive, happy memories. And then they measure the DNA again. And now the cells have healed themselves. Ooh, I just got chills. It so completely works. Okay. So we want to balance. We want to clear. We want to heal. We don't just want to suppress. We don't want to cope. Cope? What is coping? You might as well just say to yourself, let's just inflict ourselves with more stress, because that's all coping is doing. You're just resisting, and what we resist persists, okay? So we want to clear out the destructive part of the cellular memory. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean, whoo, you know, Men in Black, like, where's my little stick? Whoa, right? And then you're like, I don't have that memory anymore. No, it doesn't work like that. We don't get rid of the memory, but the memory response is what changes. So, right, I'm always going to have the memory of burying my first husband. I'm always going to have the memory of the phone call, or it wasn't a phone call. I'm always going to have the memory of the police officer telling me that my husband shot himself in the face. I'm always going to have the memory of burying my daughter. I'm always going to have the memory of just who knows what, right? But what happens is that when that memory pops up into my head, the trigger is removed. The emotional trigger that makes me want to throw up, that takes me to my knees, that makes me want to go into my room and never come out again, the trigger is what we are removing. Okay, not the actual memory. Okay, so Amy J, if all of this is true, why do we not see this in healthcare? Let me make you a visual. Let me make you a visual aid. If all of this is so true, why do we not see this in healthcare? Because obviously, I'm not the only person out there that's like, this stuff is real. There's people everywhere, right, that are diving into this. In fact, this has become the time and the place for all of this beautiful energy healing to start to emerge again, because our ancestors have done it. Past cultures have done it. Lots of people. Here's your visual aid. Ta-da! Ta-da, ta-da! Seriously, nothing in this world changes when it's based off of money. Are you joking? It's too ran by politicians and people that are in it for money. So why do we not see this gigantic shift in healthcare? I won't tell you that it's not happening, because I have seen a lot of doctors that have started into a practice of following more holistic health with, you know, using energy types things to help people. In fact, and I don't know. Yeah, here's one of my favorite. Oh, by the way, look at this. Right? The dog chasing the ball. I got this today. I ordered it for myself. So this is a Ray Dunn, obviously, part of my collection. How could I not buy this? It has a sunflower top. Okay, there we go. All right. So this is actually one of the ladies that I love. She has a process called Mind Body Toolkit. She's really into tapping. She's into tapping, which is a really cool way to release. Remind me, let me write this note. Remind me to show you how to do tapping for allergens. This is what I'm working on right now. But she's really into tapping. And then I also love to follow her practice of, pharma, right? Of breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, and releasing whatever you're feeling. So if you start feeling anxiety, instead of being like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling anxiety, and trying to get rid of it, you don't, you feel it. And that's what she's into. Like, you feel it, but she's a doctor. Dr. Kim D. Aramo. She has you feel it. And because you feel it, you actually stop resisting it, and it starts to release immediately. I know, right? Becky, you've so inspired me. I woke up this morning and I was like, I told Dave, I'm like, I need to put it all together. He's like, what? And that's me. I just randomly talk out loud. He's like, what are you talking about? As I spit on myself. I'm like, I need to put it all together. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I need to take all the pieces of everything that I've done, that I've put into this beautiful process, and I need to teach other people how to do it. And he's like, okay, right? I'm like, duh. So, but anyway, so yeah, the world is manipulated by money, and curing people does not bring in money. It doesn't at all. But guess what? If I'm like, oh man, guess what? Think about diabetics, okay? Think about diabetics for a minute. What if I told you that basically diabetes is microbes eating your insulin? That's really what it is. It's microbes eating your insulin. So your body pH is out of balance. And so your insulin functions are not correct because it's being attacked by microbes. Say what now? Your body's been affected by trapped emotions. The specific spot where you absolutely, or where you actually had a weak spot in your cells has created the ability for microbes to enter, and they are affecting your insulin. But we have a really aggressive healthcare system. So if I can go pay my doctor $500 to give me a diagnosis, and then I'm going to give pharma a ton of money to give me lots of things, testing supplies, shots, all that jazz. I mean, I don't actually have a diabetic in my house, but I bet you if one of you on here has somebody in your house that is, I bet it's not cheap, right? I mean, by the time I get to be 65, how many medications could I potentially be on? And then when I'm 75, how many more am I going to be on, right? I mean, I've gone over to my grandparents' house and seen that we're not, those cool little trays that you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But when you're a little kid and you haven't been through all this trauma yet, your little pill pack is filled with vitamins. And then as you go throughout life and you start going through all this crap, what happens? It starts turning into medication, right? And so then by the time I'm my grandma's age or my mom's age, I've got like 4 of these suckers because I can't fit all my medications in one anymore. And it's the Pill Pop Express. And I don't know how much money I'm spending, but it's pretty much my retirement. So yes, I have been diving headfirst, studying every little ounce of research, energy healing practice that I could get my hands on that incorporates the subconscious and how we get rid of all this. How do we balance this? And that is what I have found. Emotions and stressors create the problem. Our body gets out of balance with pH, and then microbes take over. They're responsible for everything. There's actually studies that will show you. I was looking at it before I started with you guys. I think I might even wrote one down. So let me see this. Okay, tumors. Think about a tumor. A tumor, they have found that it is a, oh, here we go. Oh, yeah. Tumor. It's a virus and a bacteria. Oh, that's what a cyst is. It's a virus and a bacteria together. That attack cells. It creates a cyst. So basically a virus comes in, it tries to penetrate another cell in order to replicate its code, and then the cell explodes and bam, right? And this is the phenomenon for everything. It's just that all of the stuff is a little different. So sometimes it's a virus and a fungus. Sometimes it's 2 viruses and a bacteria. Like you add these little guys up together, and then when they start coming in their little army, that's what creates a specific, I hate to use the C word, but it's what creates a specific, right, diagnosis that someone gives you of cancer, or cysts, or tumors, or whatever that is. It's just specifically a group of pathogens that come in and do damage, and then that's what you end up with. So how do you get rid of this? You have to release the underlying effects. So you release the trapped emotions. You release the traumas. Yes, you can. Arthritis, yes, absolutely. Here's the thing. Your body was designed by God, by the higher power, by dragons. You know me. I'm like, whatever that represents for you. To be a healing masterpiece. You just have to know how to use it correctly. Every single one of you. I've even had Dave who's like, I know you do, we just call it hocus pocus because it's fun to make fun of me. Dave has had been in a situation before where he was starting to get a really bad headache and he really needs to be on the job site. And he was like, I went in my trailer where no one could see me. And he's like, I specifically focused on relaxing and breathing. He's like, I didn't do the whole like clearing thing that you do with your hand, which I don't always do that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But Dave was like, I relaxed and I did it. And he's like, within 35 seconds, he's like, I felt my headache leave my head and grow out through my toes, and it was completely gone. And he's like, it was to the point where I needed to go home. Like I could not function. And so, I was like, well, there you go. There you have it. It's so beautiful. So yes, for some things, clearing out a trapped emotion, boom, bang, fixes it really fast, because the trapped emotion hasn't done a ton of damage. It's really there. It's easy to get rid of. Sometimes we need a couple of extra things. So we clear the trapped emotion, and then we simply use a polarity. So polarity resists changes. What do you use to change polarity? Ta-da! Magnets, right? Look at these. So these are really cool. So one side of a magnet is a negative and one side of the magnet is a positive. So remember when I told you about, let's say that I'm working on the hypothalamus. You actually just use a positive magnet and a negative magnet to resist or to change the polarity of the hypothalamus. So you're like, okay, Amy, how do you do that if the person is not with you? So cool, right? We do this. So this is actually a client that I was working on, and I can't remember exactly what their issue was, but I, with intention, this is their gallbladder and this is their right kidney. And so with intention, I simply use my magnets. So I use one on one and one on the other. Now, if my client was actually here and I had them laying down, I would actually put the magnets on their gallbladder and their kidney, but this is how I do it, because this is intention. I'm connected with you. I'm connecting with your gallbladder. I'm connecting with your kidney, and voila. And we are reversing the polarity in those systems. Oh, I'm sorry, girl. You definitely hold your emotions in your head. But next time you do a session, we're going to do the whole polarity magnet thing on you for that. Okay, so that's how we do that. And then we balance that out and get rid of it. So simply freaking beautiful, honestly. How do I know this process works? I mean, because I've seen it just over the weekend. One of my clients, she's like, just so you know, when I started with you, I wanted to take my life. And I was like, okay. And I actually was talking to her about, my balance, because she wants to do energy work. I was talking to her about my balance between my job and my energy healing, my corporate position. And she was like, I think it's really cool that you're doing all this, but you're saving people's lives. You realize that, right? And I was like, yes. And she's like, you should save more people's lives. And I was like, okay. And I love that. But I think even for me, it's just so overwhelming to hear people say that. I've worked with clients that have had organs that are not working anymore. They're on medication, and they basically have had the organs tested and the organs not working anymore. So for example, like thalamus or thyroid thalamus. I made that word up. I combined your hypothalamus and your thyroid got together and they made a thalamus. Okay, that's the baby. No, your thyroid, a thyroid not working at all. Really measurable, right? If the thyroid's not working. And last, I think she tested, it was back up to, I don't remember, working more than half. And so she's able to start decreasing her medication and keep testing it. It's super great. Sleep issues. Had a client who had sleep jerks, and now she is able to sleep through the night and she's not waking up. If you don't know what those are, it's kind of like when your body does this and it wakes you up. And it can be very scary, honestly, to be woke up like that. So getting rid of those, fibromyalgia, I mean, you name it. We can go over lots of disease names and conditions and symptoms, but it's amazing, the types of things. The other thing, too, is you learn to do this and you can go through your own cabinets. Or you can pull out, you can grab like, I don't know, I don't have any food in here, but you can grab a bag of potato chips and you can ask your subconscious, are these potato chips harmful to me? And your subconscious is going to tell you yes or no. And so I do that with my pills all the time. Like out of something. So because I do keto, I do a multivitamin just to make sure that I'm getting everything since my diet is a little more restricted. I also have a supplement that I found that helps me with my headaches. And these are supplements that I'm like, these are natural type things, right? So I have a supplement, and when I went to buy the supplement to help me with my headaches that I get with my menstrual cycle, right? I had like 7 to choose from, and I'm like, which one of these do I need? And I was like, what does my body need? And I just muscle tested through them, and I was like, bam, this is the one. And I got it. Works beautifully. So you can go through your whole entire medicine cabinet and be like, do I need this? Like, I've even helped my mom. She was taking a medication, and she, was asking me like, is this the right one or not? Whatever. You can say like, how many of these pills do I need? Do I need to take one at night? And you'll get a yes or a no. Do I need to take 2 a day? Yes or a no. So I do that with my clients all the time. They'll be like, hey, I want you to tell me how much of this algae powder I should have a day. 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. Okay, 2 tablespoons. You should have it in the evening, in the afternoon, morning. You should have 2 tablespoons of algae powder. Your subconscious said in the morning. It's so cool. That's how you get into this beautiful balance. Okay, so last I'm going to leave you with is this really big question. Yes, Becky, you have so inspired me to create an actual course for this, for me to teach you how to do it. Because I can't. I worked with Becky. She's fantastic. She found me on Instagram and reached out to me, and then we met and had a chit chat, and she's fantastic. If you have a business and you want to figure out how to get your business going to the next level, but she really started this idea development for me, right? I only have so much time. So how can I fix tons of people when I only have so many minutes in the day, right? And then it was like, boolah, and this little idea has been blooming. And then this morning, I try not to I try not to focus too much on something. So the way that it kind of works is Becky says that. So this is how I do it. I plant this seed. Okay, developing a course. Okay, that seed is there. I water it, I nurture it, but I don't obsess over it. And by that is what I mean is I sit back, I make sure I'm taking care of it. Ooh, that's a beautiful idea. I let it resonate with my soul, but I don't obsess about it, right? I'm not going to plant it and then be like, is it growing? Is it growing? Hello, are you there? Can I see you? Right? Because no, if I'm obsessing over it, it's not just going to happen for me. And then I always have this beautiful time in the morning. I jokingly say, if you want to call people witches, which we won't even go into that whole terminology, but I always tell Dave, like, I am an absolute water witch. Like, I love water. Water is my source of energy. So I love to spend a moment. I get a really beautiful smelling aroma in my shower. And then I literally just stand with hot water and I let it run right on the back of my neck. And this is where my beautiful, best ideas come. So when I was doing that this morning, I was just like, yes, that's it. And the flower came up, right? Boom. Now I can see it. It sprouted, it bloomed, it has leaves and a beautiful petals. And I was like, that's it. That's what it is. That's how you do this. You teach other people. And it resonated with me because I was like, I love doing this. I love talking. I love sharing. I love the energy of instructing. I love being able to inspire others and teach. So yes, I was like, that's what it is. That's what it is for me. Okay, now I'm going to answer a question that's a really big question because I am the type of person too. I'm not afraid to ask questions. So I need to know things. I'm not just going to do it and think, oh, okay. So I asked myself this question. I was like, okay, wait, if all this can be done and this is such a beautiful thing, how can people die? And I needed an answer for myself. I needed a solid answer because as a practitioner, I'm going to work on somebody and they're potentially still going to pass away. Like I had this happen with a horse the other day. So then I started to think about it to myself. Okay, now in the past few months, I've had one of my horses try to die twice. I had my goat try to die. Like I thought the goat for sure was done. And I did energy healing on these animals that should not have recovered, but they did. So I had to do some of my own deep thought process. Okay, what resonates for me? I need an explanation for why, if I can clear out people's emotions and balance their body pH and clear out all these microbes, why do people die? Okay, well, the easy answer, right, especially for me because I came from a background of Christianity, is because that's not God's will. But I'm not really good at those types of answers because I'm like, okay, I want to know why. And guess what? God is on a path, or not a path. God has developed laws of physics, okay? He has a absolute process for things. Stuff doesn't just randomly happen. Yes, we have miracles. Yes, we have whatever, but there's still a process, a process that things follow. And so I was like, I need to know what that process is. And here's what resonated with me. And I will totally caveat this by saying, this is my own opinion. This is what resonates for me. And I am a huge believer that you believe what resonates for you. I will never force anyone to believe anything that I say or do. That is not what I'm all about. Okay? So here's the thing. There becomes a point in time when the body shuts down, and that cannot be reversed. Okay? Now, let's look at it. Let's do another quick little drawing. Let's do another quick little drawing, okay? Let's say this is die, and this is super happy, super healthy. Okay, and then we're gonna put this little line. I didn't really spend a lot of time in art, but we're gonna just show you. Okay, so pretend that this is when you're dead. Cameras are backwards. This is when you're dead. This is when you're super healthy, right? And you can actually measure your health. You can be like, okay, on a scale, let's say that this has a 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, am I at a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9. I'm at a 9. Okay. So, right, 9 is over here. Hopefully 10 wasn't dying. I think I was over here. So 9 is over here, right? Super healthy. There is a time when this just becomes the wrong way. This just becomes so far down here. Let's just say this is the zone. Auto zone. Not auto zone. This is the zone. Let's say that there becomes a point where you get here and potentially your body systems are here. This is the point where there is no return, right? And I truly think there is a specific time and place and date where you get here, and then, you know, your biological clock is just done. That's just how it works. You can't overdo that. You don't want to overdo that, right? I don't have any intention that if I'm working on a client and it is their time that I want to overrun divine order, God, or whatever. Like that's not what this is about. So here's the thing. If we get someone that we're working on that they're just past that, then what do? We provide energy healing to give them comfort. We help to relieve some of the pain that they're going through so that their body can naturally pass away without them being in a state of suffering, which I have seen. I've seen that. I've done energy on someone that is super, super in tons of pain, and they were able to feel at peace and release that pain. So what happens though if, you know, you're kind of like, it's not your time to go and you've got 5 years to live and you're kind of like hanging out over here? You're going to be miserable. Miserable, miserable, miserable. And we can fix you, but you don't know that. So you're just hanging out over here. And so it's not your time to go. So you're just basically functioning barely, and it's not your time. So you're not down here yet, and you can come back, but you have no idea how. So you're just, you know, getting on the medication wagon, and yeah, not so good. All right. There we go. We're basically out of time. I love you guys. So let me have some water. Thank you so much for all of you that hopped on here. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for helping me to help you. Thank you for your support. I love that it's a beautiful process of giving, right? Giving each other this beautiful balance and helping each other. Nothing fills my cup more than someone saying, you worked on me and this beautiful thing is happening, or, oh, you worked on my kids and now they're doing really well in school, or I see this huge change in my family, or, you know, you worked on a situation that I really needed to get a letter in the mail and the letter came. It's just fantastic. So thank you guys. And yes, that is going to be the next process, is actually teaching you how to do this for yourself. Because what kind of an amazing gift would that be to give this to your own family? All right, guys, love you. Have a beautiful